Well, hey everybody, we're group 5. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Nick.
And then the pest that we picked out was the Norway rat, just because we had a structure that we're trying to prevent the rats from getting into. It's a very hypothetical situation that anyone can kind of see themselves in.
So the life history of the Norway rat. The life cycle is a single pair can produce up to 2,000 offspring annually. Each female rat could have about 4 to 6 litters annually of 7 to 12 pups. They're seasonal breeders. They reach maturity in about 8 to 12 weeks, so they can really start growing their population very quickly. They burrow among the plants and damaged vegetables outside. They're usually on ground levels, basements, sewers, garbage dumps, alleyways, anywhere that's really near water or food or shelter. Their behavior is considered very destructive. I mean, they're nocturnal. Their peak activity is around dawn and dusk. They can get into your garden, consume your vegetables, compromise foundation to building structures. They gnaw out wires in cars, tractor engines, basically anything electrical that they can get into. And they have a lot of health concerns and disease spread from the droppings that they produce.
So we're going to implement a multifaceted monitoring strategy. We're going to place out some rodent traps pre-baited to get them used to having them in their environment. We are going to place some night cameras around so that we can track their activity, and we're going to use some new sort of auto trap, automation that will help alert us when we're getting activity in certain areas on those night cameras, like which ones are giving us flags. And then we'll do visual observations, inspect the building for droppings and activity, nests, carcasses, chewing burrows, watch for traffic areas and holes into buildings with smudging or other indications of rat use, and then also pay attention to tenant complaints. And that's our monitoring strategy.
Another cool one that he looked up was dusting, that you can kind of like throw some dust around, some trails to kind of see if you find some footprints and stuff like that in the area. Another one that we looked up was some like luminescence that you can do for the pre-baiting, where they would chew it, and then when they would urinate, you can go with a black light and then kind of see where the entry points are and stuff like that. Those are some cool monitoring techniques that we were looking into as well. So some of our management strategies for the cultural stuff that we were looking into was going to be around the trash. So we were going to look about removing the trash, so that way we're removing their food source, thinking about moving the trash away from like entry points, so that way they're not kind of going to the trash and then running into the structure to hide and stuff like that. Another thing too is improving the sanitation throughout the site as well, so that way they don't have stuff to lure them in. Some of the physical controls we were thinking about was sealing up any gaps that were larger than a half an inch, because that's what the size that a rat needs to get into the structure. So we can put like kill traps around those areas. We can do sealant for some of those areas if they're smaller than half an inch, and then vegetation management around the area as well. So that way, if you have any dense vegetation, you would cut it back from the structure, so that way they don't have any place to hide and run around. And then also, we were kind of thinking about some of the roof rat activity too, because you can cut back the tree structures as well around the property. And then for the biological control, some of the things we were thinking about was adding barn owl nest boxes around the area, some hawk perches, and then if you had like coyotes and stuff like that in the area, just kind of promoting that type of wildlife, and then snakes and stuff like that in the area as well. We got to kind of help with that.
Because people are ready for coyotes and snakes. We think.
Listen, when you see them, it's like a smaller type of dog that reacts differently. Don't touch them. And then for some of the chemical controls, we did do rodenticide as an option. We did make sure to notate not to use any of the second generation ones because they do have those negative effects. Then we do have the carbon monoxide and then carbon dioxide options. And then for the rodenticides, we did make sure to put them in tamper-proof stations. And then kind of, do we want to, you guys want to add to any of that stuff for the
You said
manual?
everything.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
you yeah.
All right, cool. And then for the evaluation plan, basically what we're going to do is monitor for the activity to see if it's decreasing, especially with the tracker dye with the urine, kind of seeing if the entry points are all sealed off, if you're trapping within the inside, if your kill trap counts are going down and stuff like that. And if they're not, then we want to increase trapping and we want to ensure proper placement of trapping so that way we're trapping in the right areas and not just trapping for no reason. Want to ensure that we're having unset traps reset so that way we're not just having traps around that aren't being used properly. And then ensure that the outside structures are sealed and that the vegetation around there is not conducive to harbor the rodents. Cool.
Yeah.
Questions?
Great, thank you. Nice job, guys. Hold on.
You might have questions.
Questions, comments, reactions from the group? Sure.
I just want to point out what you said about rodenticides. The new law, right, that went into effect 2025, you cannot use any first generation or second generation anticoagulants at all.
Okay,
So that's not even an option anymore.
perfect.
So it's only acute toxicants, and those are very few and far between. So just to make sure, even with professionals, not allowed to use those.
Okay.
I know you probably got that from our president, which is.
Well, we were also dealing with the structure was in Arizona. It wasn't in California. So we were kind of like helping it out for like Arizona. But then that's why I was like tamper proof. So California.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool, but thank you.
Other questions or comments? We're all Norway management.
Cool. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.